Okay, so welcome everyone to the documentary category of the 2019 New South Wales ACT Epson Awards. So I just wanted to introduce first of all our judges. Sorry, I should introduce myself. I'm Kate Bugner. I'm from New South Wales, and I'm going to be your panel chair for this session. And next to me I have Greg Farmer, who's going to be assisting me. So our judges, we have Jonathan Armstrong from New South Wales. We have Chris Bugner from New South Wales. We have Nadine Sachs, also New South Wales. We have Nuron Zolo, did I say that right? From New South Wales. 95%, that's good. And we have Melanie Bird. So I just wanted to first of all give the preamble for this category. This category is for documentary press and birth photography. Judges in this category are asked to consider content, composition, impact, and narrative quality. Images should depict some aspect of the human condition. All images must have been observed, but not fabricated or directed in any way by the photographer. Entrants may provide a caption to assist the judges in assessing the image properly. Entries may be commissioned or self-commissioned. Photographs must be the result of a single exposure of light to either film or digital sensor. Focus stacking, HDR, panoramic stitching, and multiple exposure techniques are prohibited. Polytics, diptychs, triptychs, etc. are permitted. The entrant must ensure that there is no attempt to misrepresent reality by manipulating the image content, context, or meaning through image editing or post-production. Post-production is limited to minor adjustments such as spotting dust and scratches, dodging and burning, and adjusting tonal and colour values. Elements or areas within the image cannot be removed or covered up, nor may new elements be added. Cropping the image is permitted, as is conversion to black and white. The Awards Committee reserves the right, after assessment of the original capture files provided, to disqualify images where post-processing is deemed to have exceeded acceptable photojournalistic practices. In the instance of birth photography, written consent must be obtained from each medical facility. Wedding photos are eligible as long as they are truly found and not created. Is that all clear? All right. So can we have the first print, please? We have a caption, so Australian champion Mare Winks and jockey Hugh Bowman charging to victory at Royal Randwick in her final race. This print scores 78. I'm going to get a comment from Melanie, because you're on 78.
Thank you. This is a really well seen photo of the last race. I like that the clock is there. I love the dirt clods coming off the back and the jockey coming in second looking at the winner. So congratulations to the photographer for a well seen professional practice image.
Okay, thank you. So if we can have the next print, please. I just want to mention as well, so this category is sponsored by Sony. So thank you to Sony for your sponsorship. Also, just for anyone here in the room, if you get a 79, please see the New South Council, because they'll give you a lovely badge. I need to go and get one of these to add to my collection. This print scores 79. So we'll accept that print, accept that score, and I'll just get a comment from Chris, who's on 77.
One thing for me is that, look, it's a triptych. When it's a triptych, you kind of expect like a storytelling aspect, and I'm just kind of left a bit wondering what's happening. I'm kind of waiting for the punchline here. So yeah, I think it just needs a bit more to the story.
Okay, well, thank you for that comment, and we'll have the next print, please. Underground brothel, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Mother supports her children, blind in one eye from a past severe beating. Smiling, the current client casually waits to engage her services. Her and her children exist underground in complete darkness. She entered the brothel a child trafficking victim. Her body ensures their survival. This print scores 79. So if I have a comment from Nurin?
It's nicely seen and beautifully like captured image, but the background and the foreground, the talent is not really communicating that well, and the highlight on the right of the camera, and a little bit distracting in there.
Okay, thanks for the comment, and we have the next print, please. I missed this, so there is a caption. A sister is born. A sister is born. This print scores 81, silver award. And if I can get a comment from Nadine.
The use of colour, most of birth images we've seen is black and white, and I find it's strong colours are used, the emotion, it tells a beautiful story from birth to dressing the baby. So well done.
Okay, so if we can have the next print, please. Sand Dunes as Far as the Eye Can See by Henry Vere Barclay. On his almost ill-fated journey during his exploratory expedition through the Simpson Desert in 1904, Barclay rises a sand dune and made the decision to abandon all non-essential equipment due to the many sandy hills. Sand Dunes as Far as the Eye Can See by Henry Vere Barclay. On his almost ill-fated journey through his exploratory expedition through the Simpson Desert in 1904, Barclay rises a sand dune and made the decision to abandon all non-essential equipment due to the many sand hills. This print scores 75. If I can have a comment from Melanie, you're at 74.
Sure. Perhaps the photographer could pay a little bit of attention to just the saturation of colours. It seems to be losing a bit of perspective. It's very difficult to see if we're looking at very low hills or very high hills because of the treatment.
Okay, I'm sure the photographer will appreciate that feedback. So if we can have the next print, please. Ian, homeless, schizophrenic, Newtown, New South Wales. This print scores by majority 79. So we'll accept that score. I might get a comment from Nadine, just because you're at 79, and if you could give some feedback to the photographer to what they could do differently.
The image is crisp. You can see the anxiety in the eyes. I'm not sure if having half the face really worked. I find that, and also the balance between the background and the foreground is a bit fighting. I think the depth of field, if it was a little bit blurred, the background, to me, it would have been a stronger image. Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. So if we can have the next print, please. Caption. The ice floe edge in the high Arctic is in constant state of movement as fluctuation in ocean temperature and currents push the sea against each other. Below the ice reveals the depth of this natural climatic change. Just for those in the audience and those for you on live stream, just a reminder that we have the awards dinner on Monday night, which is the 1st of July. Last time we had a thing, there was less than 15 tickets left, but there's details on the website. So if there's tickets left, they'll still be there. So jump in and come and join us for a pretty awesome night. This print scores 78. We accept that score. I might get a comment from Chris, who's on 79.
Yeah, just a quick comment. It's quite a stunning image, and I really wanted to kind of like reward it higher. It's just unfortunate the characters on top are just kind of doing nothing, and it really lets the image down. If they were just doing something rather than just sort of half bending over or something, you know, that would have made a big difference, I think.
Okay. So we'll accept that. And if we can have the next print, please. Caption. During a lunch stop on the way to the site of Henry Vere Barclay's long lost abandoned camp found by Larry Perkins in the Simpson Desert, a bird's eye view shows a dam. This print scores 81. So silver award. Sorry. Melanie, I'm just going to get a call from score for a comment from you. You're on 82.
Sure, thanks. This is a really well seen image. It's beautifully placed in the mat. The cars give it context. We can see it's a really deserted place. The dam's low. I think to improve it, perhaps just have a little check on the colours, just to make sure there's not too much saturation, so you don't lose the shadows of the trees and stuff that are there.
Okay, I'm sure the photographer will appreciate that. We're just going to hold it there for a minute, and I'm just going to do a quick judges change. So thank you, Melanie. I'll get you to hop off, and I'll bring on Carol Gibbons. So if you can have the next print, please. There's a caption for this one as well. Thousands of fans living the moment through their mobile devices as the horses gallop down the straight at Royal Randwick for Champion Winx's final race. This print scores 78. I'm going to get a comment from Chris, just you're on 78.
I like how the shadows and the highlights are handled in the image. That's actually really well done. However, it's kind of lacking a decisive moment. There's just nothing happening. It's just horses running around.
Yeah, sure. So Neuron, make a quick comment.
And if this image cropped tighter and would have been stronger, because we don't need to have that sort of information at the back with all the sort of buildings, and the focus should be more on the people who's taking the pictures.
Okay, I'm sure the photographer will appreciate that feedback. I'm just going to hold it there for a moment because I'm just going to do another judge change. We haven't got a big category, so I just want to make sure everyone gets some time. So Nuram, I'm actually going to take you off, and Jonathan, I'll take you off for a little bit as well. And I'll bring on Nathan Madigan from WA and David Oliver. And we all know who David Oliver is. Bruce doesn't? Oh, Bruce, David, Bruce. So just give us one moment while we just turn it over, just because if there's a caption, I want to be able to read it with the print. Okay, so if we can have the next print, please. Quaint and historic, now it's going to be a Norwegian, Belgium name, Ghent. Northwest Belgium, I see on the fringe of the old town, this building. So contrasting to the beauty, colour and history surrounding me, and I marvel at the message of darkness, its precision in application and restless risk taking to get it there. This print scores by majority 80, but actually scores 78. Hang on a sec. Sorry. It is at 80. I've read that the wrong way. So its average was 78, majority is 80. Sorry. So silver award. I'll get a comment from David.
Yes, I found this really interesting, and a really, really strong message there for people who are building these high-rise buildings. So, picture with a message is really, really important.
Okay, so if we can have the next print, please. When the competition gets a bit too hot, 2019 New South Wales State Farrier and Blacksmith Competition. This print scores 80, silver award. I'll get a comment from Nathan.
Yeah, this is already a really strong image. Potentially black and white could have emphasised it all, but the photographer's just done really well.
Okay, thanks for the comment. So if we can have the next print, please. 2 long-tailed juvenile macaque monkeys sitting patiently in some protected land in the Borneo jungle in Malaysia. So this print scores 81, silver award. I'll get a comment from Nadine.
Well done to the author. I think the beautiful depth of field, the monkeys looking at us. To me, it's the jungle, but they're sitting on a man-made object in the middle of the jungle. It just shows you where we're going. The colour, the clarity is beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that comment. So if you can have the next print, please. The winning donkey, the Rooftop Express Show, formed part of the evening entertainment at Equitana, Melbourne, 2018. At the end of the show, an audience member was picked at random to sit on the couch with a donkey, who turned to the photographer and winked. Melbourne, Victoria, November 2018. This print stores 79. Whoever it belongs to, come get a badge. I'll get a comment from David, who's on 78. So,
Yeah, probably controlling the highlights. The brightest part of this picture is just behind the donkey to the left, and your just eye goes there all the time. So maybe you can tone those highlights down. Foreground and the background are brighter than the subject matter.
okay, thanks for the comment. So if you can have the next print, please. This print scores 79. Are we going to accept it? Yep. So Carol's going to challenge. She's on 84. And you have got support. They're close in. We've got 3 in the high 70s and 82.
Right. Well, I scored it a solid silver. I think the photographer making the decision to press the shutter at that moment and capture this, amazing, once in a lifetime, the birth of this baby, and just to be able to handle it so well. There's so much emotion there with the 3 hands, the dad's hand, the baby, and the mum's expression there. I just, she's probably exhausted after giving birth, and I think the photographer needs to be rewarded just for, that decisive moment. And it's definitely, there's so much emotion there. So I think it is definitely a silver.
I'm just going to go to Chris just because he's at 75, and then I will come back to you, Nadine.
Yeah, look, I think it's a nice professional standard. I don't see this decisive moment. I think the printing is muddy. I don't understand why it's so flat. There's no harsh lighting going on, so we could have just printed a bit more contrasty. And the composition is also just messy. Like the hands coming out of the guy's face, and it's just a really confusing perspective. Whereas if you just kind of cropped it in nice and tight or square around the mother and the baby, and then you see the arm, and you know it's a dad. But as it is now, it's just confusing, and it's a professional standard, but it's just not quite a award for me.
So is that what you wanted to say, Nadine? Wanted to add anything?
I was saying actually made it a square image and cut out the dad and just saw his hand and you saw all those hands, to me it would have been a much stronger image. I don't think you needed him on the right. It's more muddy. I think it would have been a better composition personally.
Okay, so Carol, you've got right of a reply?
Look, I do agree it could have been cropped in a little bit tighter. I think the photographers made the decision to leave the dad in because he's got the sort of, hair, hair cap on because she must have had a cesarean, I would say. And I quite like the dim sort of lighting. I mean, that sort of, adds to the mood of it. And, I think really it does deserve a silver.
Okay, so Carol, if you keep your score, and the other judges, if you can re-enter your scores, please. And it stays at 79. So it's a good discussion, and I'm sure that the photographer will find that useful with that feedback of having a look at some cropping. So if we can have the next print, please. The unveiling. At a home birth in Sydney, this baby father gently removes the amniotic sac from his third-born's face while the mother calmly watches on. This is called an on-call birth. Whilst rare, occurring in fewer than 1 in 80,000 births, it is simply a variation of normal. This print scores 82, silver award. I might go to David, if I can just have a comment from you. Sorry, David, put you on the spot.
Maybe one of the girls.
Actually, Nathan, you happy to make a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. I found that really educational to have that caption for that one. I was distracted by just the highlights and the colours. So if we either brushed down some of the breast, arm, hand, that would have helped keep my focus, or even black and white. But powerful image.
Okay. Yeah, Chris, do you want to make a comment?
Not arguing a point, but actually I quite like the colours because baby's kind of purple and stuff like that, and I think it's got like the cord wrapped around its neck, so maybe that's why it's going blue. I don't know enough about it, but actually I quite find the colours quite interesting.
All right. So if we can have the next print, please. Football fans celebrating their country, Croatia, making it into the FIFA World Cup finals. Okay, this print scores 79. All right, so we have a challenge from David, who's on 86. You have lots of late 70s with you.
Yeah, because this is street life in Croatia, and you know they're a proud nation. They've just got into the World Cup, and you can see that in all the expressions. And the girl leaning out of the car, connecting up to all those flags. It's just telling a great story. We don't see this kind of emotion over here, but in Europe they just go crazy at night. Everyone's out in the street celebrating, and that's been captured superbly by the photographer. And you know, it's reality. This is real.
Yeah, so Nathan wanted to make a comment. Oh, sorry. Hang on just 1 sec. All right, you're good now.
Look, the energy is right around that girl out of the car. If we cropped that in just to that chunk of people who are hugging, laughing, smiling, and that girl, then that would be a really strong image. I feel like this is too wide a documentary scene to really capture the energy that is clearly there.
Did you wanted to add something, Nadine?
I'm just saying David says the emotion, but the people we're looking at, the two people driving the car, they've got no emotion on their face. To me, everyone else is, but the people we first see have got flat, you know, no.
So, David, if we can go back to you.
They are smiling. I just joked. Yeah, look, you could crop it tight, but then you'd lose people on either side. So, and you could pano it, but it wouldn't look. I think this works well as a documentary picture. So if it was panoed, then it wouldn't have the same effect. I'm enjoying all the lights that, you know, sending the message that this is at night, you know. And the shadows, the beautiful shadows running diagonally from each direction and out of the picture. So just looking for 1 point, sorry.
All right, so David, if you keep your score and all the other judges, can you rescore, please? It stays at 79. So it actually has an average of 80, but still at 79. So, yeah, it doesn't at state. Sorry. But the lucky photographer does get a badge. So I'm going to just stop there for a second, and I'm going to do another judge's change. So, Chris, I'm going to take you off for a minute, and I'm actually going to take Nadine off again. And Melanie, I'm going to bring you on for a little bit, and we'll bring on Heath Wade as well. So if you just give us a minute, we're just going to change the judges because of the captions. I can't change the judges and read the caption to you at the same time, so I have to do one or the other. We have a technical problem, so if we maybe have a blank screen for a moment. Judges, we're going to start again. Excuse me. Hello. So we're good to go, or we've resolved the technical issue that we're just having out the back. So if we can have the next print, please. So we have a caption: 4-year-old boy, underground brothel, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Developmental delay and malnourished. He is unresponsive to engagement. He stares with deep eyes sitting in a doorway, wandering naked, vulnerable and in complete darkness, witness to all his mother does to ensure their survival. This print scores 79. We accepting or no? We have a challenge. We have a challenge from David Oliver, who's on
This one.
86.
Yeah, look at this expression. It's telling everyone his story. You know, we're not going to get perfection in documentary photography. This is not perfect lighting situations. The photographer has no control, but he's captured, the photographer's captured this emotion in the eyes and in the texture of the skin. And I know you're going to probably sort of pick on highlights in the background, but that's what's there. And it needs to be there because it's telling the story. It's giving us depth. And this really is in the silver category. So please come with me on this one.
I'm going to go to Nathan just because he's at the other end at 75.
Yeah, sure. What a great story. What a great caption. What an incredible story in the words of the caption. But I'm not seeing any of that in the picture, which is good because they've informed us. But if the photographer was there, they could maybe see if they could capture some of those elements so that we can really feel it. Outside of that, I just lost focus on that front eye. I ended up with the focus on the armpit, the ear, and the back eye in terms of the sharpness. So I gave it a 75. It's a high professional practice in terms of a documentary image, but I think it does need to tick some of those other boxes to push it higher.
Melanie, I'm going to get a comment from you just because you are on a silver, so it'd be great to get some feedback.
Yeah, I did put it into silver because I think in the background we can see that there's a dirty old mattress and blanket and stuff on the floor. That's probably where the family sleeps, but the mother might work. You can see it's linoleum. There's a lot that you can see, and I think you can see all of this in his face as well. So I think it is a silver.
And David, we go back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, well pointed out. Yeah, you can see mattresses in the background. There's a pathway leading all the way through, and you know, you can tell from the expression on that little boy's face, you know, the state that family are in, the state that he's living in. I mean, look at him, you know, and it's just been amazingly captured. The photographer, you can see that the photographer's captured that expression without intruding. So that little boy isn't making eye contact with the photographer. He's looking somewhere else. So he's just looking over the photographer's shoulder, which is really interesting. So, no, I think this is really worthy of a silver.
Okay, so David, your score stays, and if I can ask the other judges to rescore, please. And we have an 81 silver award. So great discussion there, but really good advice as well for the photographer. If you really think about that, the caption helped, but just always being aware of that with the photo as well. So if I can have the next print, please. A man walks down a set of stairs, oblivious to the artwork portrayed on the walls of activist Jack Mundy in the rocks of Sydney. So just wanted to have another chat about our sponsors, Sony. So does anyone in the room shoot with Sony cameras? We've got a couple of shooters with Sony. So, and do you love them, guys? Oh, awesome. Yeah. So go check out Sony's apparently awesome cameras. This print scores 79 by majority. I will go to Heath, just because you're on 78, pretty close to it, if we can have a comment.
Okay, when this rolled around, very interesting. Got a lot of fantastic potential and well sort of thought out, except for the only thing that was missing for me is the guy coming down the stairs there. There was no sort of... there was no narrative there to tie in with the mural on the wall for me. Like, he needed to be doing something, and I was trying to sort of imagine a story there, but I couldn't quite get it. So it's got loads of potential, nearly, but not quite award level. Yeah. Well done, though. Well done to the photographer.
Okay. Thanks for the feedback. So if we can have the next print, please. Trying to make sense of a world that makes no sense. This is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Mental health disorders play no favourites. None of us are immune. We might talk about it, but unless we've lived it, we can't really understand it. March 2019. This print scores 80, silver award. Nathan, I might ask you just to say a few words.
Yeah, I think this really nailed the elements of a documentary capture in at least what's written on our paper in terms of impact and narrative and some impact of some part of the human condition. It's raw and it's real, and it really is fly on the wall capture of an emotion. And I think that it was each piece of this character has really been portrayed quite well. If anything, we could pull some of the blacks a little bit less harsh, but this is, I feel like I'm connected to this woman and I feel what she's feeling. So it's quite a powerful, raw image to me.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to hold it there for 1 second. David, I'm just going to do a change, and we will bring on Gavin Jowett. Did I say that right? Sorry, just one minute while we just change the judge over. And if you can have the next print, please. Base jumpers leap from Broad Peak at the elevation of 5,000 feet in Baffin Island, Nunavut, Arctic. Jagged peaks tower over the frozen sea ice in the fjord below. This print scores 82, silver award. Gavin, I'm going to ask you for a comment.
Yeah, when you see it from back here, you're immediately sort of struck by this red item that's flying towards a piece of rock. So it grabs you very quickly. It's a beautiful image. It's in regards to the way the tone's been handled throughout, but I don't know whether it could come in tighter to sort of push it up more. It's a bit hard, but it's a fantastic capture.
Okay, thanks for that comment. If we can have the next print, please. From tears of joy to tears of pain, a new father supports his wife through his tears of joy at the birth of their son. A new mother cries tears of pain as she is separated from her premature baby when he is admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit. This print has scored silver distinction, 87. But we have a challenge from Heath, who's on 93. So Heath, just to let you know, you do have 3 87s and an 82. So.
Okay, I just have to take a moment here. This really moved me. Just every single image just has so much power and genuine emotion. It's captured brilliantly. There's no image there that doesn't fit the story or the narrative perfectly. You can feel those emotions, and what really brought me to that next level was the final image on the right, the solitary tear. Sometimes the truth is more powerful than fiction, and this is a great example of that. This is so real and raw, and I just felt every one of those images. I think it's gold, and maybe I should have went even higher, because that's what documentary is about, communicating. It's stunning communication. Every one, you can feel it. There's nothing made up there, or there's nothing extra in there that shouldn't be there. It's just honing right in on those emotions, and so powerful. Well done. It's gold in spades.
So I'm going to get comments from the 87 rather than go to the 82, just because I really want you guys to sort of talk and have a conversation. So I'm going to go to Nathan first of all.
Yeah, I felt really the same. What a powerful series, and really every frame is really valuable, and the caption wasn't even required, even though it contributed. What I'm seeing is a portrait of the father. In every scene, we've got his love for his wife, his hand on the child's head. We see the first tear shed by him, and his eyes are on her. This is a love story between the father and his wife, which is often how it goes. And then he's the one who has to journey to the newborn on his own in the ICU, and he returns with documented evidence, and it's all about him. And I think that is a really powerful series, curation of this event. From the photographer's perspective, it's something a little bit different, and it hits us in a different way because it's the man. And at the end, we do see that trading of tears in that last image. I think the colour palette is actually beautiful. It matches the scrubs, and it matches the blankets and the other pieces. There's so much in here, and I don't get any right of replies, so I just Even in that second from last image, just that scene where this child, his life is in the balance and his dad is watching over him, and there's just scrubs and it's a stationary shelf. What a powerful snapshot into the world of the health system and these couples and new life. And it's pretty good.
I think that's pretty positive comment. Melanie, I'd love to get a comment from you as well.
I'm not really sure what more I can add. It's so beautifully shot. The last image actually, so apart from the whole portrait of the father, which this series gives, the last shot for me really answers, I guess, questions around the mothers of kids in NICU, because we never really we always hear about and see pictures of kids in NICU, but we never really get to see that the mum gets to see a picture. I mean, he's made an effort to get those images back to her, and that for me was really emotional.
Beautiful. So Heath, we'll go back to you for the right of reply.
I was actually thinking gold distinction here, and I got a bit scared. I wish I'd gone there and just tapped into that, how it really moved me. And just listening to what you guys have had to say, fantastic comments, by the way, thank you. And I just want to say the hands as well. Like often we talk about hands in photos, and when I'm seeing the hands there, the third shot in from the from the left, just beautiful. One on the bub, one on mum. I mean, hands often tell a story in their own way. You know, body language is the most powerful communicator, and they're just doing it naturally there and beautifully. And you look at the image on the right-hand side, that beautiful hand wrapped around the new mum, and then just shielding there so you can see the picture of his bub. Like, the composition is beautiful as well, and to nail all that in a documentary style, I just think the photographer has really honed in on the decisive moment, and that's what it's all about. This is 5 decisive moments. What a story. I mean, this is, I wish I'd gone gold distinction. This is right up there.
Okay, well, it's not too late to go that way if everyone wants to. So I leave your score as it is, Heath, and then if I can ask the other judges to rescore. And we have 93 gold awards. So I wanted to add we did have 2 on gold distinction there. So close. Fantastic. So congratulations to the photographer. All right, so we'll accept that. And if we can have the next print, please. There's no caption on this one. This print scores 82, silver award. If I get a comment from Melanie, just because you're in that middle range.
Thanks, Kate. This just shows the hospital system and never putting a baby near its mum. It's so difficult. But there's beautiful skin tone, beautiful eye contact. At first, I thought that there could be a better white point, but I think the tone is actually quite lovely, especially for the skin tones. So yeah, well done.
So if we can have the next print, please. Managing relentless drought conditions in the central tablelands see sheep in feed pens and regularly fed a carefully measured ration to maintain a healthy body weight. This both saves pasture, helping prevent erosion, and stops sheep walking off body weight in the search of food. This print scores 79. Yep. So we have a challenge from Carol, who's on 88.
As a documentary image, this image is just telling such a great story. I mean, it's so beautifully seen. The composition is beautiful. It's the choice of the time of day of taking it with the shadows of the sheep and the shadows of the fences. The colours are beautiful. It's kind of telling us something about the dry conditions and all those sheep just going towards the feed, and just that beautiful yellow line on the left-hand side there. It's so well seen, and the stories, I think, it's definitely a strong silver here. It's got lots of, sorry, I'm trying to see it now. It's got so many things going for it. I just think the composition is just amazing there, and all those sheep just being drawn to the food, the colour palette. It's really telling a narrative here.
So I'll get a comment from Heath, if I can.
Okay, it's got lovely composition, and I was quite intrigued by the shadows on the sheep and the feed line coming out, and then the other line on the other side of the feed. I thought there was a lovely balance to it, and it does tell a nice sort of narrative of the conditions. But when I went up and had a look at it, I was a little bit disappointed. It was really sort of either over sharpened or the quality wasn't quite there, and trying to sort of extract something out of it that wasn't really there. So that sort of really held me back. If it had that quality, yeah, definitely come up for sure.
Okay. So Carol, I'll come back to you.
Well, I think the sharpening works really well because it's dry and dusty and a bit gritty out there. But I think the reason I gave it a strong silver is because just it was so well seen. And I mean, a documentary image, just to see that it's just perfectly composed, as well as telling us the story of the drought conditions. It's dry, it's gritty, it's a bit dusty. I mean, I think we should reward the photographer for just seeing this and clicking at the right moment.
Okay, so Carol, we'll keep your score, and if all the other judges can rescore, please. And the print stays at 79. So you did try. I'm just going to hold it there for a moment. I'm going to do a couple of judges switch. So Carol, you've been on for quite a while, so I'm going to swap you with Nadine. And Gavin, I'm going to swap you with Chris. Okay, so if we can have the next print, please. A polar bear feeds on fresh kill, surrounded by hopeful scavengers, waiting for morsels of slain ring seal. This print scores 82, silver award. And I might just get a quick comment from Chris.
It's a very powerful image, isn't it? Just that, when you see blood against snow, it just looks so dramatic, and I just love it. It's very dramatic. It tells a story. Those birds looking hungry, just waiting their turn. It's a sort of the whole sort of life cycle. It's kind of cool. It's very cool. I like it.
Okay, so if we can have a blank screen just for a moment. Okay, so thanks, Nathan. If we can have the next print, please. The caption for this is derelict. So I just wanted to say hi to everyone out there in live streamland, and most particularly to Charles McCain, who apparently is listening to us in St. Petersburg. So it's pretty cool. We've gone to the other side of the world. So hi, Charles. Hi, Charles. We miss seeing you.
Everyone, hi, Charles.
Hi, Charles. This print scores 81, silver award. And Nathan, want to make a quick comment?
Yeah, what a beautiful capture of nature versus man and the decay of everything. If we could straighten up lines, that would just help the major structure. But it's just a really powerful image, and maybe a tiny bit smaller in the mat. What do you guys think? I'm seeing nods, photographer.
Yep. Okay, thanks for that. So if we can have the next print, please. A conveyor belt transports up to $200,000 worth of gold-bearing rock a day. This print scores 77. I will get a quick comment from Chris.
Look, the photographer's gone for like a silhouette kind of effect, but personally I would have liked to have seen some texture in the foreground amongst all that rock and stuff like that, just to see that sort of grittiness and yeah.
Okay, thanks for that comment. I'm just going to get a blank screen for a second and just do a couple of judges' change. So Heath and Melly. Say thank you for the moment. And I'm going to bring on Jonathan Armstrong and David Oliver. Okay, if we can have the next print, please. Two siblings wait for their international flight, Canberra Airport, 2018. This print scores 79. We have a challenge from Nathan, who is on 88.
Okay, what a beautiful, simple, clean, neo-noir, neo-Jurassic, Cretaceous period structure that we're seeing here. It is so beautiful in its simplicity, and if the caption says we're in an airport, then this is even greater because it's just so empty. There's nothing broken about this image at all. It's strong and it's powerful and it's clean and it can go any size on a wall, and I'm just enjoying it in every element, including the spines on that kid's back, which just pushes him into dinosaur territory. But I am mostly on my own, so I do value input from everyone. Please chat about it.
I'm going to go to Nadine and then I'll come to you, David, just because Nadine's at 76.
I see what you're saying. Jurassic Park, here we come. But that big solid black spot with no detail, to me, disturbs it. If it was maybe cropped tighter, less of, right in the middle, you've got the solid black, no detail. To me, it just loses it. The beautiful reflection, it almost looks wet, and where they're standing, as if they're on water. But that brings me down. Sorry.
David, can I have a quick comment from you? Yours at 83.
Yes, and indeed, it really doesn't need detail. It's just a shadow. It's a silhouette, and that's why it's working so well. If it had detail, I think the whole picture then would be a lot busier. The other reason this picture is working so well, and I'm really annoyed I only gave it 83, is the background. You can't see a plane. They're at an airport, but it's in thick fog. So these kids could be waiting there for quite a while. So it's just, it's a well-seen, well-captured, beautifully composed image that definitely scores, should be in the silver category, let alone silver distinction. So, yeah, I'd like to hear a bit more debate on this one, because we've got to get this one over the line.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to Nathan, just because the others are close on where it is. So I'd just love to hear a bit more from Nathan with that.
Okay, well, I'll close it off then. Thank you. I appreciate what you guys saw as well. I agree that we've got silhouette images, so the no detail helps add that glassy kind of solid atmosphere, and there's tonality from straight white down to pitch black, and there's pieces all the way through that lets your eye bounce around. There's depth all the way out to things that could be hay bales or things that could be structures way off in the distance, but it's not competing with the present, and the foreground doesn't compete with the middle ground as well, so it really balances. And I love what you said, Nadine, about water. It almost looks wet, and what we're seeing is this beautiful balance of geometry and organic nature. That big structure, it looks a bit more like a depleted elephant leg. And then right next to it, we've just got these square, solid, human-made structure. And then, of course, we've got a mixture of glass and cement and concrete, and then this water-like feel. And I'm on 88, and I really feel like it belongs in that category of silver distinction.
Okay, thanks for those comments. So Nathan, your score stays, and everyone else can rescore. And great discussion. We have 85, silver distinction. So we'll accept that print, and next print, please. Smoking, 2019 New South Wales State Farrier and Blacksmith Competition. This print scores 78. I will get a comment from Chris, who's on 78, if just any feedback for the photographer.
I think it's a nice image of a, this event. It's just maybe just not enough action there, not enough telling you what's going on. The only sort of storytelling aspect I really enjoy is the fact he's got a little badge on his hand saying drinking age and stuff like that. It's always like a young bloke, but he's probably looks young enough not to drink, but he's got a drinking thing. So, but it's, other than that, it's also a tiny bit soft image. But yeah, it just needs a bit more context around it.
Okay, thank for that. And we'll have the next print, please. Paddock standoff. A cattle dog tries to bring in a rogue pet sheep that has been raised with 2 staffies. The sheep won. Millthorpe, New South Wales, November 2018. This print scores 84. Silver award. Does anyone want to give some feedback for the photographer? Anything they could do differently? All right, David.
That's great. Yeah, you've done it. I thought it deserved a little bit more, but happy with 84, and I'm sure the photographer would be. But it's great capture, well found, and beautiful.
Okay. Thanks for that comment. And we'll have the next print, please. Peter, homeless, sitting quietly on the steps of Brown Street Library, Newtown, New South Wales. This print scores 82, silver award. And we have a challenge from Jonathan Armstrong, who's on 88.
Yeah, I think this is an extraordinary image. Portraits or documentary portraits of people don't necessarily have to show you their faces or show them clearly. And I think that in this case, the photographer's done a really great job of seeing another aspect of the subject of this image with their hands and fingernails, and showing really clearly something about the character of the person and the things that they hold dear in the package that's in his hand with the religious icons and jewellery, and I think that makes a really powerful statement, and I think it should be rewarded accordingly.
I'm just going to go to Nathan, who's at the other end at 78.
Yeah, I love everything that you've seen in there as well. I just got stuck on a few minor technicals, so I'm listening. Just the crop, if there was the subject, of course, is those symbolic elements, and if there was a little bit more on the edges so that I don't keep falling off the corner of that wallet or off the corner of his hand. And the murkiness up the top I struggled with a little bit, and the weight, it seemed to be tilting over to the left a little bit too much. Just minor things, so I'm listening.
I'm going to go to David, just because you're on 83, so you're in there.
I sort of loved his expression as well, even though it's out of focus. You can see what's going on in his mind there, and the composition is quite interesting with those eyes peering up into the lens, and the curly part of his moustache, and the beard sort of wandering towards the camera. It's just an interesting picture that's been captured, and just well seen, and tells the story. And the story of his life is there. It's in his hands, in his arm. You can see the dirt all the way running up his arm. It's a real gritty sort of image of this character.
Okay, so if we can go back to Jonathan for your right of reply.
Yeah, look, I think I think that the observations that are made, I agree with. I feel that with the face in the background being there, it would have been a very easy decision for the photographer to have focused on that. So I think that to me, it feels like it's a very deliberate decision not to do that and to focus on those religious icons. And I think that it's a beautiful capture, and I think that it's worthy of silver distinction.
Okay, so if I can ask the judges to rescore. So Jonathan, yours stays where it is, and everyone else can rescore. So it's gone up 2 points, so it's a silver 84. So, as we all know, those points count. So I'm sure that the photographer is very grateful. So we'll accept that, and we'll have the next print, please. In a remote and very tiny village of Atawa Island, Timor-Leste, we find ourselves honoured and humbly invited to a village wedding. This is a capture of the flower girls sitting respectfully in their allocated seating.
And the print scores 81. Silver award. Yes, I'm the new Kate. Okay, who would like to make a comment? Thank you. Jonathan?
Just a couple of quick things. I really like the eye contact of the central character. I think that really adds a lot to the image. I feel that it's a little bit flat and might have benefited from a different paper choice, and perhaps one that's less matte. might give it a little bit more life in the mid-tones.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we accept that. Next print, please. And the caption is, "Polar bear track depressions span across the vast white desert of the Arctic sea ice in the Inuit Arctic, Nunavut, Canada." And while you're assessing the print, judges, I'd just like to remind you that in the documentary category, there's very little post-production allowed, and also there's no direction allowed for the subjects. So a lot of these photographs are instantaneous and cannot be overly manipulated afterwards. Thank you.
This print scores 78. If we can have a comment from Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks. I really wanted to score this higher. I scored at 78. When I had a look at the image, I found myself wishing that that snowmobile wasn't actually in the frame. I know that sometimes man-made objects can be, the inclusion of man-made objects can add a lot of scale, which can really inform you a lot about the image, but I feel that in this case it detracts.
Okay. We'll accept that, and if we can have the next print, please. This print scores 79. I might grab a comment from Nathan, if I can.
Yeah, sure. This is just, this strikes me as high-level professional practice, that a documentary photographer has seen a great moment, has captured it authentically. Not too much that would push it into silver range for me, unless there was a real impactful emotion or something before or after this little pretty moment.
Okay. Thanks for that. So if we can have the next print, please. Old and forgotten. This print scores 75. If I can have a comment from Chris. He's avoiding eye contact with me, that's why I'm asking him.
Look, it's another great sort of man versus nature images. I really enjoy urban decay style images. There's probably just not enough there to kind of like push into the next sort of category. It just kind of lacks that certain something, I suppose. But nice capture.
All right. I'm just going to hold it there for one moment. Nathan, I'm going to give you a break. I've been working you pretty hard. And we'll bring on Carol Gibbons for a few minutes. So just give me a sec while I change this over. And if we can have the next print, please. I noticed these boys sharing a jovial moment with the bride and groom's bridal party, their beloved dogs. Of course, I wanted to capture this moment. After reviewing the frame sequence, I discovered this fleeting occurrence. The dog reveals how it's really feeling about wearing the hat. This print scores 82, silver award. I'll get a quick comment from David, if we can. Just any quick feedback for the photographer?
Yeah, great capture, great expressions, especially on the dog. Perfect world, we'd want the background a lot darker, but sometimes you can't have that, you know, that's there and that's the picture. So, but I'm sure the photographer will be happy with that score.
Okay, so if you can have the next print, please. After Winx's final morning track work session, the jockey Hugh Bauman pauses momentarily, glancing upwards as a jet passes overhead. This print scores 77. Are we accepting that score? Yep. So we have we have someone on 80. So we have David Oliver on 83. So he has the right to challenge.
Yeah, I found this quite interesting. It's a beautiful silhouette. So it's got a really good composition, you know, with the mic coming over the top. And I guess the title says, cripes, you know. I was racing, you know, yesterday or the day before, and I'd rather be on a plane getting away. Maybe that's why it's been left in. Maybe that's the storyline coming from the photographer. But beautiful silhouette and great cloud formation. So it's an unusual look at a jockey's life, early morning.
Jonathan, I'm going to get a comment from you just so that you're at the other end.
Yeah, it's certainly unusual, and it's the photographer has done well to capture that moment just as the plane was directly overhead, and the composition is certainly interesting. I find that the silhouette doesn't really work for me because I wanted to see some of the details of the individuals in the crowd. So I found that the silhouette just basically said there's a lot of information here that you can't see and can't access. And I'm not sure that what the airplane really adds to the image, even despite the caption.
Okay. David, we'll go back to you for right of reply. Just watching time.
This is why we debate, isn't it? Like one likes the silhouette, and the other judge prefers detail. Yeah, I'm sort of taken aback by that silhouette, the mic coming over the top, and just that separation from that head. I think it's just a nice capture. And anyway, we'll see what it scores.
Okay, judges, so if I can ask you to re-enter your scores, please. David, you say where you are. So it's gone up 1 point to 78. We'll accept that. And next print, please. Myanmar. A young monk waits for a ride, but something is not right. This print scores 77. Jonathan, if we can have a comment. Oh, sorry. Was you happy to? Chris wanted to make a comment? Yeah.
I'll say something's not right. The kid's got an AK-47, which adds a great sort of comic element to the image. I just wish that I could have seen his face.
Yeah. And Chris, comment.
I guess that's the thing. Like from back here, it looks kind of ominous. It's like, oh, it's got an AK-47, child soldier, all kinds of stories. Get up close and see it's just a toy gun. So there's nothing but a child playing with a toy gun, which is we all do. So there isn't a story here. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's not really a story. Just a kid playing with a gun.
Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for the photographer. If we can have the next print, please. The caption is... Oh, sorry. Next print, please. Caption... Sure. So Nadine's just going to step off. Melanie, can I just get you to jump in for a minute? Our caption is hidden. This print scores 76. Get a comment from Carol.
I think as a documentary image, we need a little bit more of a story there, and that bright area or bright the sun coming through, whatever it is in the top there is distracting. If that was cropped out, that could make the image a little bit stronger. But I think we just need a bit more information.
Okay. Thanks for that. We'll have the next print, please. A man reaches for his coffee at a quintessential alleyway cafe in Sydney 2019. So all of those at home on the live stream, we'd love to see you come down here tomorrow. So we're at Nepean TAFE, not Nepean University, we discovered this morning. So if you do come, make sure you come to Nepean TAFE. You can come and watch. We've got actually got a room full of people this afternoon, which is really nice to see. But there's nothing quite the same as coming down and seeing things live and being able to check out the prints on the walls that have won. So really encourage you. I think we're here from 8 till 5 again tomorrow. Yeah. So come and join us. This print scores 79. I'm gonna. Well, we've actually got Melanie here instead of Nadine, but I'm gonna switch that over. But I'm also just gonna get a comment from you because you're at 78. So I'd love you to give some feedback to the photographer. What would take it to a silver?
Sure, thanks. I think it's just a little unfortunate that the people that we're asked to look at are in black, and there's a really bright neon pink chair that's the first thing that we're looking at. So I don't know if there's a crop that we could do that sort of, I'm not really sure how to enhance that image without changing it altogether in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's well seen, it's great, it's a great angle.
Okay, so if we can have the next sprint, please. A man sits inside a doorway in inconsolable distress. Haymarket, New South Wales. This print scores 79. To the photographer, you can come and get a badge, but see if we can get a comment for you that might help you along. David, could you give us a comment?
Yeah, just very quickly, maybe the attention to the top of the picture, the hair is just drifting into the black, so that would have helped with the storyline. Maybe straighten it up a little, because the feet seem to be going uphill. The crop seems to be a little bit strange. So there's a picture there, but within that picture, I think.
So we're just going to do one more quick final change of judges. So Chris, I'm going to get you to step off, and I'm going to bring Gavin Jowett back for a bit, please. And if we could have the next print, please. A baby being born via vaginal... Now, I'll start that one again. A baby being born via vaginal breech birth is displaying one of several newborn reflexes, the start reflex. 96% of breech-presenting babies are born via caesarean section. Striving for a vaginal birth, this mother found a supportive provider in one of only 2 breech clinics in Sydney. This print scores 84. Silver award. Can I get Carol just to make a comment of how the photographer could potentially do something different?
I'm not really sure what the photographer could do differently. I think, it could be cropped a little bit, but then you don't want to lose the information about what's happening. I think it's just quite amazing how it is. Just to capture that moment and then the sort of, just those first moments of life and what the baby does, announcing its entrance into the world like that. And it's even wearing a tie, so it's quite formal.
So Jonathan, just want to make a quick comment as well.
Yeah, just quickly, I just want to acknowledge the photographer for really nailing the focus and focusing on the baby's hands and fingernails, which is the only really discernible feature of the baby. So great job.
I'm sure the photographer will appreciate that feedback. So if we can have the next print, please. Segovia, central Spain. This 100-metre aqueduct is one of the most breathtaking Roman structures I have seen. Shot at sunset from the top of town, I'm in awe of the light and shade this majestic historic structure creates and the layers of this scene. This print scores 77. If I can have a word from David Oliver about...
Yes, it's extremely busy. There's a lot of things happening. Maybe a different time of the day. It doesn't look like it's shot at sunset from the angle of the shadows. So a lot later might have worked, maybe, because it's very contrasty. It's extremely contrasty light, and that's making it even more busy. So there might be another shot there at a different time of the day that the photographer might have.
Okay, thanks for that feedback. And if we can have the next print, please. Winks. Standing strong in front of an army of fans, a brief moment is captured when her strapper goes to the back of her stall. Her strength, her stillness, and her presence can be felt by all. She's our Australian lady in waiting for her final race. I can get a score. Can I have one? This print scores 77. We'll accept that score. Gavin, do you want to give us some feedback?
Yeah, well, I just think it's a good portrait of a horse. Without the caption, we don't know kind of the backstory, and it doesn't necessarily illustrate the backstory, but it's a great portrait of a horse. It's a bit of a shame about the brick wall, I think. It kind of takes it out of context. But
Okay. Thank you for that. If we can have the next print, please. Myanmar, an unwelcome glance from a young monk. While the judges are scoring, just a reminder to anyone with one of the 79s, you get your little lovely badge, go celebrate it. and go see one of the New South Wales Council, Matthew, Marina, Naomi or Aries, and they will be able to give you your badge. They're really special. You got to have it. This print scores 73. I might get a quick comment from Jonathan.
I'm not really clear on what the narrative is in the image, firstly, and second comment I want to make is I find that the treatment of the colours doesn't sit well with me. I'm not quite sure exactly how it could be improved, but I don't know. Is it just that it's a little too lightly printed? I'm not sure, but the colours seem like a little bit kind of lolly is the only way I can really describe it. It's probably not a very technical description.
Okay, so appreciate that feedback. If we can have the next print, please. The Smiling Monk, Angkor Wat, Cambodia. For many families unable to care for their sons, the monastery is a safe and sacred opportunity for education, food, shelter, and spiritual guidance. Their dedication, a cloak of pride for their families, and their orange robes, a sign of peace. Just while the judges are judging, we want to also just say a huge thank you to Sony for being the sponsor. Fantastic cameras. So if you're thinking about upgrading a camera, go and have a look at Sony and as a great option. And this print scores 77. I am going to get a comment from Carol, just at 76, some feedback for the photographer.
It's a well captured, candid image of somebody standing there smiling. I know I'm just describing it, but there's not much. There's not much of a narrative there. It just needs something a little bit more to tell a story. But it's very well captured, and the colours work really well together.
Okay, so I'll accept that score. And if we can have the next print. And that's the end of the category, guys. That's all done for the 2019 documentary category.